It's Veterans Day, 2021. I'm just making a few extra notes, more so than usual, as pertinent things come up throughout the day. I'm within this flag system, so the Veterans Day is in tune with Alexander the Great, Alexander James, my son, who is tally mark 4, and then the Mayan calendar baby, which is I don't like his name, so we won't speak it, but he's Roman numeral 3. And right now my back is up against the wall in the system that I mark with that symbol as I'm traversing a hole in the wall. With Tiafrio 1975 and Nora Tiafrio being his sister, 1978. When I met him, it was through Frank Falco, and Jeannie, who lived in Mastic. Frank lived in Lindenhurst, and they invited me to a place called Blacksmiths, Blacksmiths, in Ronkonkoma, Smithtown border. That's where I met Shipegg, 1975. So went there, and then exchanged numbers and whatever. Then he invited me the first weekend. It was around Memorial Day weekend, which has no significance to me whatsoever, because this American holiday calendar has never been explained why they have these things. I don't know what it's memorial of. Then I've got, think about this. Then there's something called Christine Canestri and Jimmy, who were dating. I think then they got married, whatever. She actually dyed my hair once. She had to stop hanging out, though, because Nora got mad at her for some reason. But long story short is Nora invited me and Anthony to a concert for 4th of July that year, 2010, on something called a Governor's Island. Never heard of it, never been there. I'm not a Manhattan person, so I stay in Queens. And John used to take me into Manhattan by train from Ronkonkoma or drive in. But that was really when I had my new car, and it was more to have a nice long drive in a nice car. So Nora invites me to this concert called Oscar G. I had never heard of it. Oscar, and then the letter G. Apparently, Steve Anselmo, who was dating Nora at the time, lived in Shirley. He liked that kind of music also. I think he was there. Some guy, Brian Nolan, was there, who only drank water always. He was like their designated driver, and whatever. I just know that he never partook in whatever it was that they did, that they made clear. But I had never been in an outdoor concert, ever. I had never been to Governor's Island, didn't know what it was, or any history on it. I did not know the artist of who was playing the music, and I had never been to that. I'd never been exposed to that kind of music of just beats with very little language in it, or very little spoken word. So that was interesting. But then on the way home, I got kind of sick. I wasn't feeling well, and as the night progressed, I got more and more sick. And on the way home, and then my memory lapses for a little bit, but on the way home we had to take a ferry, Ferry, like a water taxi, maybe they call it, Watertaxi. I don't know, a lot of the kids were using a lot of different language. I wasn't feeling well. And so on the way home, they started singing, and they started banging on the metal, almost like a metal drum of the belly of the ship that we were on, because we weren't on the outdoor portion, we went on the inside portion. And I remember just sitting there, like, trying to hold myself together, because I really wasn't feeling well, and then them starting this beat and procession and this percussion, and just being able to tune into that and all, like almost in a trance format off of my pain that I was sitting in at the moment. And it was really interesting. It was a song I never heard, but it sounds very much like like a cadence, or like Ryan Stevenson's and Gabe-Real's song "In the Eye of the Storm." So I don't know if that's the exact song that they sang, but I'm going to play that because on this Veterans Day, in memorial and thanks of whoever is in service, in the correct service, I'm going to, in the correct direction of keeping or putting the planet back onto a timing mechanic and getting that piece completed, because currently it's running too hot. So, Alexa, play In the Eye of the Storm.
Here's Eye of the Storm by Ryan Stevenson, featuring Gabe-Real on Amazon Music.
At that concert, I met people and then I never saw them ever again. That happens a lot in my life.
Storm, you remain in control. And in the middle of the war, you guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm. When the solid ground is falling out from underneath my feet, between the black skies and my red eyes, I can barely see. When I realize I've been sold out by my friends and my family, I can feel the rain reminding me. In the eye of the storm, you remain in control. In the middle of the war, you guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm. When my hopes and dreams are far from me and I'm running out of faith, I see the future I picture slowly fade away. And when the tears of pain and heartache are pouring down my face, I find my peace in Jesus' name.
Sleep?
In the eye of the storm, you remain in control. Yes, you do, Lord. In the middle of the war, you guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm.
I think in Norway they call this a banner. Different kind of shit. Along the same lines.
When the test comes in and the doctor says I've only got a few months left, it's like a bitter pill I'm swallowing. I can barely take a breath. And when addiction steals my baby girl and there's nothing I can do, my only hope is to trust you.
To call Tia an addiction. That's a good way to put it in a kind of a sort of a not really kind of way. Addict, maybe. Depends when.
You guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm. You remain in control in the middle of the war. You guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm. Any higher, no, any higher.
That's what's over my shoulder right now.
I know you're watching me.
I know you're watching me.
When the storm is raging, the storm is raging, and my hope is gone, and my hope is gone, Lord. When my flesh is failing, you're still holding on. Oh,
Here's my flesh failing.
the storm is raging, and my hope is gone. You know my hope is gone. When my flesh is failing, you're still holding on. When the storm is raging, and my hope is gone, and my hope is gone. When my flesh is failing, you're still holding on, holding on. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me.
And then it's a lot of rain, like a storm. In Polish, they say bursa. My knee is having a storm at the moment. I'm trying to think. So after that ferry ride, we returned to the house. We drove in the minivan because we could carry a lot of people, which was mine, back to, I think it was a Honda. I forget the kind of Honda it was. It was whatever the minivan's, Odyssey, I think is what it's called. Drove it back to Ronkonkoma Street on Connecticut State Park, and then I got even more sick and whatever. Nora was outside with Steve on my deck with a couple of her friends. I was laying on the inside. I just didn't want to move. I just wanted to be quiet and die, but I couldn't shut myself off to go to sleep. It was the most horrible feeling. I've had a few of those experiences in this time frame. Also, when I wound up getting pregnant, I wound up getting flowers from I didn't know who. And I opened the card and I said, oh, it says Big Daddy. I was like, who the hell could that be? Like an admirer? And I'm like, so I wound up calling, she's like, maybe it's Anthony. And I go, he doesn't call himself Big Daddy. And I was like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. He's short and there's nothing big about him. And, right, not dad. He's not the dad kind. That's exactly what I said to Kendra Aliano. She was the mortgage rep at Chase in Comac at the time. So I called him and I'm like, what's with the Big Daddy thing? And Dave for 1975 says he called Matt, his brother, who's the Air Force guy, closest thing in relation, and he told him something, and then Anthony wrote Big Daddy. And if that has anything to do with Big Daddy Russia, like, that just means that you all knew that you were taking advantage of me and stealing my time and forcibly putting me into a more dangerous situation, carrying the weight and severity of everything else that's going on within this. Just counting down a clock that needed to go in a different direction and needed to be held safely and lovingly in the arms of something totally different than what it was shoved into in order to get me to a hole in the wall with my back up against the wall for a couple of humans that don't fucking matter. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.